I'd like to focus on midnight rulemaking. In the final months of any presidential administration, there is a high volume of rules that are issued. This is oftentimes called midnight rulemaking because in the attempts in the waning hours of administration to achieve political policy goals, they do them in the dark of night. So it's an endless problem. It's gone on from one administration to the next. I'm particularly concerned about what might happen at the end of this administration. And I know that Chairman Connolly has introduced the Midnight Rulemaking Review Act that would require GAO to create a kind of spreadsheet of major rules promulgated near the end of an administration. So, Ms. Brown, would incoming administrations benefit from a list of regulations that an outgoing administration promulgated at the 11th hour?
Definitely. Those are regulations that they're going to need to be addressing the minute they walk in the door. So it would be extremely helpful to have those.
So, but having said that, the only options to reverse these last minute regulations are the Congressional Review Authority, correct?
So it depends upon the stage that the rule is in. If it's proposed, then you could act quickly to pull it back. If it's final, you're absolutely right. You're either going to have to go through the Congressional Review Act or go through formal rulemaking.
And in that situation, it's a majority of members of both houses to overturn a last minute regulation, correct?
Yep, it is not an easy process. You are correct.
Ms. Kumar, thank you. Ms. Kumar, you've studied presidential transitions. What have you found in terms of attempts to sow legacies through the use of regulatory process at the end of an administration? And you're muted.
Yeah. Okay. As Lisa has talked about the problem, and one of the things that it does is it starts a new administration on a negative note of things, particularly if there's a party change, that they then have to spend their time, rather than working on their priorities, making sure that they address the rules that have been left behind. In the Bush administration, at the end of the administration, Josh Bolton, who was the chief of staff and also was running the transition out, sought to address this issue by encouraging the department secretaries, by giving them a timetable that they had for issuing rules. And they had his memo was on May 9th in 2008. And so it said, except in extraordinary circumstances, regulations to be finalized in this administration should be proposed no later than June 1st, 2008, and final regulations issued no later than November 1st. So that was an attempt by the sitting administration to get hold of the process, and it had mixed success because the department secretaries are dealing with the hot button issues, and they put this towards the end, so there were a lot of appeals that they had to deal with. But it was an internal attempt to deal with it.
So has that same process been used in the Trump administration? Do you know?
No. And
we don't know, or no, it hasn't.
As far as I know, no, it is not. I think there have been a lot of rules that have been issued. One of the first things that an administration does when they come in is they stop the printing of the Federal Register for any things that might have been done at the very end, because if they're not printed in the Federal Register, then they're not live.
All right, thank you. I just want to point out that the Congressional Review Act has been used to overturn 17 rules. 16 of them were overturned by President Trump in his first 2 years, and these were rules of the Obama administration that protected water, fair pay, resource management, and unemployment compensation. And with that, I yield back, Madam Chair.